What's up, everybody? Welcome to the channel. In this video, we're going to talk about propagating and how to propagate and lots of proper tools to use, along with the proper, the containers that you would need to use for your propagation. There's a lot of different ways to do propagating. There's leaf cutting, stem cuttings, all kinds of other ways. Like if you're trying to propagate tree branches to grow in your trees, you would make a cut in the trunk or the branch of what you're propagating, wrap some sphagnum moss or dirt around it in a bag, and then tape it off and close it and leave it there for probably a month or 2 months at least. And then you would take off that bag of whatever you have, and then you would inspect it for roots. Well, there's other ways to propagate as well, and that would be using containers with like just potting mix or sphagnum moss in order to propagate your cuttings. About a month and a half ago, I decided to take some begonia cuttings off of this green begonia that I have. I probably took a good at least 8 or 9 of them off of there and propagated those. And then I also propagated these watermelon pepperomias, and I got about 8 of those as well, and I have had success with each one of them. Now, further in the video, I'll kind of explain a little bit more about what you need, how you need to set them up and stuff like that in order to propagate. But it goes back to my very first video that I ever posted, where you have to have time and patience and give your plant time and patience to grow. It's the same thing for anything. You can't be looking for roots every single day when you're propagating. Just leave it alone and let it sit and do its thing, and I guarantee you will have success. So, in order to propagate Rex begonias, you can do stem cuttings or you can do leaf cuttings on these. I'm not going to be cutting this one because all my leaves are good right now. But what you would do is, if you're taking a leaf cutting, it can be hard to flip this around here, you would cut right where that stem attaches to the leaf, and literally cut right in here. And then you could either set the entire leaf on a thing of sphagnum moss and wet it down and then cover it with more sphagnum moss, or you could cut this leaf into different sections and according to the veins on the back, and then cut straight across the bottom. And also you can propagate those other curved pieces, and then you would stick those down into your sphagnum moss or whatever your media is for propagating. Now, if you're doing a stem cutting, you're gonna cut right at the base where the stem comes off of the tubular, and you would basically just stick that in water, or you could stick it in sphagnum moss as well. For the pepperomia, it's basically the same procedure. You would take, for the stem, you would just cut it off at the base, cut a couple inches above that after you actually cut it. That way you can make sure it's healthy enough. Or, I'm going to cut one off of here for this one. If you have any damaged leaves on your plant, or any plants that are older and bigger that you want to get rid of for new growth to come in, you would first off cut right there at the base. Still got that little piece sticking out, but that's fine. And then after that, what you would do is you would cut horizontally across the bottom, right in the middle of the center where that stem attaches to the plant or to the leaf. I'm going to cut right around that. And then you would separate this as well. I'm going to cut this in about 3 sections first. And now you got 3 pieces ready to propagate. Now, as far as containers go for propagating, you can use just about anything that has a lid. I would recommend using things like Tupperware containers that you can buy at Walmart, or even if you go out and you eat out a lot, you can get the to-go containers, like from Denny's or Arby's or something like that, and they're really convenient because they have ventilation holes on them. I have those taped off right now, but they're easy and convenient to use, and they're reusable. And they hold in that moisture and humidity a lot better than other things would. And it has a more clear plastic on top where light can get through in order to aid in that propagation and warm it up in there a little bit. So what you would do when you're propagating and putting them in there, you would get some sphagnum moss or potting media, whatever you're planning on using, and you would put that in there first. You would soak it down. I would use warm water for the first time when you're propagating and just setting them in there, because that would help get that temperature up so that the roots grow a little better. And once you get that sphagnum moss soaked well enough, you would stick your cuttings in there, and you would stick them in there with the section that you have cut. And that part would go first down in your potting media. Kind of like this. Definitely make sure that both sides of the bottom of that are covered with wet sphagnum moss, because it helps propagate your root a lot faster. And then just leave the rest of those up, sticking out. Once you get them placed in there where you want them, make sure to mist it down again over the top so that water soaks in and gathers around where the base of the plant is for the roots to start growing. And then, in about 2 months at most, mine were propagated, and I only haven't touched them for about a month. But after about a month, you should start seeing some root progress. But make sure you give it time and patience to root, because if you're in there pouring them out every day to check them, they're not going to grow. It's going to take forever to start growing them if you do that. So just give it some patience and time to get used to being in here, and then after about a month, you can check it out. Always make sure that you do check them periodically without pulling them out, and check the tops of them to make sure that there's nothing rotting or turning brown on there. If it is, make sure you get in there and cut that stuff off. That way it doesn't kill the cutting that you're working on.
Fly with the stars, I'm free. Party all day, every weekend. Make it boom, boom to the beat. Make it boom, 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 boom. Fly with the stars, I'm free. Party all day, every weekend. Make it boom, boom to the beat. Make it 'cause I don't wanna waste my time, no. I'm young and dumb and hopeless, right? But I'm bound to turn out alright, yeah. The city's really not my vibe now, so I'm moving out my parents' house now, to go and live another life where my dreams don't lay down and die. I'll hang out with the folks on screen. I'll be chilling in a pot of gold. You should bet your money on me, 'cause I'm never ever coming home. I'll fly with the stars, I'm free. Party all day, every weekend. Make it boom, boom to the beat. Make it boom, boom, boom. Boom, boom, boom. Fly with the stars, I'm free. Party all day, every weekend. Make it boom, boom to the beat. Make it boom, boom, boom. Boom, boom, boom.
You can call 1,000 times, but I'm not picking up tonight, 'cause I'm a bit too busy serving all the smiles, having me a real good time, with a drink full of bubbles. It's the bad for my health. Holy shit, I just stumbled. Still I'm feeling myself.
Fly with the stars, so I'm free. Party all day, every week.